sweetheart.
Artist.
Sweetheartist.
Sweetheartist.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a long one, so grab a drink, maybe a snack, and settle in because we've got a lot to talk about. I've been meaning to share my thoughts and experiences from my recent trip to Japan, a dream destination I wanted to visit for years. But I also want to talk about how much love and support I've been receiving from you guys, how it's impacted me, and where we're headed next. So let's dive in. Let's start with Japan. This trip has been a long time coming. I booked it way back in January and finally got to go in September, which gave me plenty of time to plan. And honestly, having those months to anticipate the trip made the experience even sweeter because it felt like I was building up to something truly special. To make things smoother, I booked my hotel and even arranged for a taxi to pick me up from the airport ahead of time. That way, I wouldn't have to stress about anything when I landed. And let's be real, the flight itself, not my favorite part. It was way too long, and I'm the type of person who can't sit still for hours on end. But the moment I stepped off the plane and felt that Tokyo energy, it all melted away. Tokyo was everything I hoped it would be. I stayed there for most of my trip and explored so many iconic districts. Shinjuku, Shibuya, Akihabara, Harajuku, and more. Each area had its own personality, and it was like stepping into a completely different world with every stop. Shibuya with its crazy crowds, neon signs, and obviously the famous crossing, felt like the heartbeat of the city. Akihabara was a must-visit for anime, manga, and gaming fans. Harajuku was a vibe of its own, with all the quirky fashion and creative energy spilling out of every corner. But I didn't limit myself to Tokyo. I also made my way to Osaka, Kyoto, and each city had its own unique charm. Osaka was lively with incredible street food. Kyoto, on the other hand, was much more peaceful and traditional, with beautiful temples and bamboo forests. It was a nice contrast to the fast-paced buzz of Tokyo. One thing I was worried about before going was the language barrier. I barely speak any Japanese, and Japan has this reputation for not being particularly English-friendly. But, surprisingly, it wasn't an issue. Most ticket machines had English options, and I relied on Google Maps for everything. Subway routes, train schedules, you name it. The public transport system was so efficient and easy to navigate, especially with the color-coded lines. I was impressed by how visually intuitive it all was, and on the rare occasion I needed help, everyone I asked was so eager and kind. Even if we couldn't communicate perfectly, they went out of their way to assist. The vibe in Japan was something else. Everywhere I went, there was this blend of tradition and modernity that I'd never experienced before. The weather was great, warm during the day, cool at night, and those vending machines, absolute lifesavers. There's one on almost every corner. I also tried a new drink every day. But there's a pro tip. Japan doesn't have many trash cans around, so if you're traveling there, be prepared to carry your garbage for a while until you find one. Now, as much as I loved exploring, I have to admit something surprised me. Despite all the anime shops and collectibles, I barely saw anyone wearing anime merch. It was so different from what you would expect in the West. And what's popular in the West, it doesn't always translate to Japan. For example, I'm a huge Berserk fan, but I barely found anything related to it, just small items hidden away in a corner. Same for Like a Dragon, Yakuza for the OG fans. You would think there would be more merch or recognition for such iconic series, but it was hard to find. Speaking of Like a Dragon, probably one of my favorite gaming series, walking through Japan, especially in areas such as Shinjuku or Dotonbori, it felt like stepping into the game, for real. The attention to detail in those titles is insane. It made me appreciate the series even more. And also, let's talk about the upcoming releases. I'm so hyped for the next entry in February with Majima as the main protagonist. It's his first standalone game, and from what we've seen, it's going to be crazy. I mean, Yakuza pirates? Who even thinks of that? It looks like it works. Then there's Project Century, which was announced at the Game Awards. That teaser was wild. It feels darker, more mature. And I'm curious to see whether it's a prequel or something entirely new, but either way, if you want me to stream these games when they drop, let me know in the comments. Japan has always inspired me creatively, especially its art culture. The distinct styles you see in anime, manga, and even traditional illustrations. They're so unique and instantly recognizable. It's impossible not to be influenced by it as an artist. Take this piece I'm working on right now, Kiryu Kazuma. I love how a simple sketch can come together in under an hour. If I spent more time on it, I think I could bring it to life in a way that feels almost intimidating. But sometimes keeping it raw and simple is the way to go. Before I wrap up, I want to take a moment to thank all of you. The support I've been getting from the community is overwhelming in the best way possible. From fellow creators and artists to aspiring artists just starting their journey. You guys inspire me as much as you say I inspire you. When someone messages me about my work, that it brought a smile to their face or helped them through a tough time, that's what it's all about. If you've been to Japan, let me know in the comments where I should go next and what you enjoyed the most. And also, what kind of culture shock you've experienced or were surprised about. And if you haven't been yet, what's at the top of your list? Thanks for watching as always, and stay creative, stay inspired, and have a sweet day. Until next time, take care.